co-founder of Huel. So Huel was started in 2015. With Julian, I think he said before it was like 250,000 was his initial investment.
Yeah.
We didn't get anything more until 3 years in when we had our first round of funding. And then we had another round of funding just under a year ago, October, I think, last year.
Yeah.
If they can have that taught, if taught's the right word, or at least be influenced at a young age to have that sort of mindset, then they'll grow up and hopefully they can spread that meme to others. It's one of the main elements.
Yeah.
We've got this thing at Huel that we say, nutrition first,
Yeah.
but taste a close second.
Okay.
It's a mindset thing, right? Because we could have objectively the best nutritious, sustainable products there.
Yeah.
If they taste awful, no one's going to buy them, right? So it's interesting you mentioned the word humility there, because I live by 4 values and that's one of them. So I try to.
Hello and welcome to Founder Stories, the podcast for small business owners. I'm your host, Simon Collier, and I created this show not only to motivate and inspire, but to give you actionable strategies to take back into your business, shortcutting your route to success. Each week, I'll sit down with real and relatable business owners, uncovering how they've created a business that gives them freedom, creates impact, and makes money. So let's get started. Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of Founder Stories. For this one, I am joined by the co-founder of Huel and registered nutritionist, Mr. James Collier. Thanks for joining me.
Hi Simon, great to be here.
It is a blessing and a pleasure to have you here, actually. I didn't want to research you too much because I didn't want to become too intimidated by your success, which is a lot. For me, I want these conversations to just be conversations, whereas I started this yesterday and this morning, just researching your bio, having a look at, online. I know of Huel because I watched Diary of a CEO, the podcast. Such a successful company, one of the fastest growing companies of recent times. Genuine quality product. No one's got anything bad to say about it. That you don't find any videos online with people saying the formulation is bad or this is, products come out sometimes in health and nutrition that are there just to be marketed and to make money. But to me, Huel is there for a gap in the market and a genuine want and desire to help people. So I'll probably in that intro have now intimidated myself talking to you, but thanks for coming on. It's a pleasure to have you on. Thanks for accepting the invite. Tell me, as a good place to get started, I like to kind of reverse engineer for all of our listeners. They're used to me kind of showing them where you are now. And then the point of this podcast is for it to be a bit of a more relatable podcast than something like Diary of a CEO, which is incredibly inspiring, but quite high level. We want to get kind of practical insights and advice and for people to understand how you've got to where you've got to. So for people that don't know who you are, tell me what you do, what's your involvement at Huel, and what are you doing outside of that now? And then we'll reverse back.
Great, Sam. There's a lot. Big intro there.
Yeah.
A couple of things. Intimidated. Okay, that's interesting that you choose that word. Okay. I also want to come back to about online content about Huel later on. Can we park that and revisit that?
Yeah, sure.
In the brain.
Yeah, definitely.
A lot to say there.
Yeah.
But now, obviously, by way of introduction, I'm James Collier. I'm a registered nutritionist. And let me give you a bit of my background there. So I'm co-founder of Huel. So Huel was started in 2015.
Yeah.
Julian Hearn, who can be seen on a lot of other podcasts, including an early episode of Diary of a CEO that you mentioned. He is very much the entrepreneur of the two of us. Julian is founder and I'm co-founder.
Yeah.
It was his idea. He had this great idea to make a nutritionally complete food. And he contacted me as a nutritionist in 2014, and I came up with the original formula, which was the powdered pouch that we get in the white pouch.
Yeah.
That people are perhaps familiar with. As a registered nutritionist means I'm associated with the Association for Nutrition in the UK, and I'm also a member of the Nutrition Society. So basically, that gives me some credibility as a nutritionist. I can't just be a bullshitter, so to speak. Yeah. Something else we should talk about later on. Now I run everything sustainable nutrition within Huel. So although nutrition is my background of 30 years, I'm also responsible within the company for the sustainability and everything ESG. And for people who don't know what ESG is, that's environment, social governance. It's about everything sort of about the environment and sustainability and doing good in the world, whatever that means. And I'm also sort of moving into sort of the more online nutrition communication side, and written as well. Now, I mean, I've been writing in nutrition for years, decades even, but I'm trying to focus more on the writing and also the social media communication.
And is that, what's the goal there? Is that just to get more education out there to people that's real and they can believe, and to help them?
Yes. I feel I've got some good nutrition messages that I want to share with people. And I want to share with them for two reasons. One is because I feel they're useful and can help people. But secondly, then all my messages are not going to be right. Okay? I'm going to be wrong on a few things.
Okay.
And how am I going to know if I'm wrong unless I put them out there and people challenge me on them? I'm one of these. I mean, I'm hoping today, Simon, you and I might disagree on something, because if we just agree on everything, that's brilliant, right? But I want to know that something I might be wrong on something. At least, whilst I might stand by my guns, I might go away and think about it and learn. And it's the same in anything, but nutrition, I think, is particularly important.
And so, before we reverse right back to how you got there, I'm just really, really interested myself in the idea came about. That wasn't your idea, but how did you guys get together?
Okay.
And how did that original spark go from a conversation? How did the conversation come about in the first place? How were you approached? Did you know each other? And then how did that conversation turn into, okay, let's set up a project plan, let's get funding, or however it turned into a real business?
So Julian, Huel was his original idea. Now, he'd already made some money on a marketing business. His background is marketing.
Okay.
And he'd made some money, and I believe he'd had a year or so off, and he was getting bored, and he tried another company. I think it was called Body Hack.
Okay.
And he wanted to compare different dietary regimes. But he wasn't getting people to follow them enough. But he tried one himself, where he was following a very strict regime. He got into shape through it, but it was a bit of a pain preparing all the food. But one thing he found wasn't a pain, and that was protein shakes. So he thought, now I know Julian and how his mind works, very break things down to simplicity. Why can't we get everything into a shake? So he came up with this idea, and apparently he was working on it for a few months, and then he got in touch apparently with 3 nutritionists. One of them was me. I responded quickly, and he commissioned me to do some work, and
he found you then, presumably because you're on a list of people who are highly qualified as a registered nutritionist somewhere.
I had. I'd done a lot previously. I'd done work in the bodybuilding world, and I've got an NHS dietitian's background as well. And he'd found me. Probably did a bit of a Google search. Thought might look like I know what I'm talking about. Hopefully he was right, and commissioned me to do the work, and we worked on it. Took me a few weeks to do the project. And then we worked for a year trying to get the thing off the ground. This was 2014 when he first contacted me, and we didn't launch until June 2015. We were trying to find someone to blend it, and that was frustrating, right? Used some of my contacts in the bodybuilding protein world to find someone to blend it. They didn't really work out, and eventually we found one company who took us seriously. But I get it from their perspective, right? Everybody wants, a lot of people work out and they want to be in the bodybuilding and fitness world because it's cool, right? They want to do something with it. So they come up with this, I'm going to make my own protein company. And these companies, these blending companies, are getting approached several times a week, and they're just a waste of time.
Because most of it, I mean, isn't it true that most of the sort of proteins that you buy, they're all made in a handful of places? They don't all have their own individual processing.
But I don't know how many there are these days. There's probably not that many, and that they buy the raw materials and they blend the flavors differently. I mean, it's probably changed a bit more in recent years, although I'm out of that world now because we've got more plant-based protein powders coming on the market, and things are a bit different.
And so he approached you, he found you, you came up with a formulation. How does that mean that you then continue to work together? That's my follow-up, versus him just saying, I want you to create the recipe. And then thank you very much, I'll
Yeah. So he
ride off into the sunset.
And originally it was that he commissioned me and paid me to do a project.
Yeah.
Then eventually we managed to launch in June 2015, and in the first week of launch, he got some PR people involved, and they got us onto Sky News, or we thought they got us onto it.
Yeah.
We drove all the way down there, and it was the time that I think the French port strikes were going on.
Okay.
And that was more important, so they turned us away.
Right.
But on the journey,
yeah,
it was literally the first week, he said, look, we're going to start this company properly. I'd like you to be my co-founder. I said, yes, please. I think that was the quickest conversation I've ever had. I was, my other businesses in the bodybuilding world and fitness world weren't going so well at that point.
Okay.
So it's very timely.
Yeah.
I was about to get married. This was June, and in August I was getting married. So I thought, probably going to have a bit to do with this bloke. So I invited him to the evening do of our wedding, and he came. And then we went on honeymoon just afterwards. And I remember with the wedding and honeymoon, it was broadly 3 weeks had gone by, and I literally noticed the difference. You know, how I said to my wife while we're on honeymoon, I think this business is going to go somewhere. Yeah. And that's genuinely, I thought, I was checking my emails on the beach in Hawaii, showing off now. And I thought this, this has got potential. Yeah. And turned out.
So what were you doing before that? If we reverse right back, how did you first get into the health and fitness industry? What was your passion at that time?
So let's rewind a bit back further than that, if we may. So
sure.
my degree was in nutrition and dietetics.
Okay, at university, right?
At university, yeah. Then I graduated in 95, showing my age. And I can see everyone's shocked. They actually think I'm that old. And it's, I went back in 95, I graduated, and I went and worked in the NHS as a clinical dietitian for several years, which is what a lot of people did on my course. I never really wanted to do this permanently. I always knew, but I also knew it would be a great experience, and it was brilliant experience. Yeah. So I was doing a lot of different things in clinical nutrition, including weight loss, diabetic clinics, food intolerance, but I kind of moved into specializing on tube feeding. So that's the nasogastric tubes and the PEG tubes that people that have swallowing difficulties or critically ill or various other complications have, either short or long term. So I would look after people who needed a tube feed.
Making sure they're getting the right nutrition.
Correct. Yeah. Whether it was solely from the tube or partly from the tube.
Yeah.
And then, and whilst I quite liked the job and it was quite fulfilling in certain ways, it wasn't me. I kind of wanted to do more. So I started my freelance consultancy in 99. Yeah. I live in Northamptonshire, right? Rural Northampton. So I was seeing clients, but it was like 40 minutes each way for a trip to see someone for sort of 45.
Seeing them in person at that time, which is at that time the normal thing to do. You wouldn't even think about doing Zoom consultations, would you?
Exactly. And then in 2000 I started a website called Muscle Talk with a old uni friend.
I've heard of that website.
Yes. So and that at the time.
Back in my old school bodybuilding days.
Yeah, and so I was co-owner of that as well with my old uni mate, and that went well for a few years. And me and my business partner Jason, who's still one of my best friends now, we had a little income every month. It was a reasonable income. Okay, it wasn't had no future like you all did, but
but you enjoyed working on it, right?
We did. It was quite stressful, but it was we got it at the right time when forums were just taking off before social media became a thing. And Muscle Talk kind of went quite well. It was quite popular, and that led me to being more involved in other things in the bodybuilding world as well, like show promotion and gym clothing.
And you were, so this is because you were outside of, I guess, when you were in the hospitals or working for the NHS, you were going to the gym and working out, and actively involved in bodybuilding, developing your own physique.
Yes, and I'd been long before uni, and I'd been training. I started training at 16. So a good question is, why did I get into nutrition in the first place? Well, there's two answers to this. One is I was that skinny boy who got picked on at school. So cliche here, lifted up weights, and
I can't imagine you being skinny looking at you.
Oh, listen,
like I said when you turned up to my house, you look a lot bigger. You're a lot bigger than I thought you were from looking at your pictures. I guess pictures are just headshots. And you don't have that typical bodybuilder, thick neck, meathead look. You look athletic, but actually very muscular, right?
I mean, several years ago, I I probably had a stone more muscle and was a bit bigger.
Yeah.
A bit more meatheady maybe.
Yeah.
But I've definitely lost a bit as you hit your 40s and then into your 50s. You start thinking more of longevity and you want to train more functionally. So I've kind of changed that.
Yeah.
But I was very much, I was that cliche at school. Didn't like getting picked on. The moment I left, I got picked on a lot at school. But the day I left school, I've never been picked on since. I'd started training then. Used to really, really bother me. I know every kid gets bullied in some form or another.
Yeah.
But for some reason, it bothered me more than others.
No, I get it. It's really interesting because I got bullied, not tons, and people would probably say it was banter who did it at the time for being overweight. I was always overweight when I was a kid. And then so my solution was when I was about 13 or 14, I just don't eat breakfast or lunch. I only eat dinner, which is not a sustainable solution. But it made me lose the weight. But then I found bodybuilding at 15 and lied to get into the gym, and then started to learn about nutrition and bodybuilding. But I guess different to you, where you've said, I'm going to really self-study and learn about nutrition and health. I probably had a very unhealthy diet of just eating the same 3 things every day for 2 years.
It's not good, certainly for a teenager.
Yeah.
I mean, we can talk, there's all underlying possible pros to fasting as an adult. But as a teenager, not what I'd recommend. But yeah, so that was half of my motive for going to nutrition. Yeah. The other half was when I was probably about 8, my mum was diagnosed with terminal breast cancer. So this was back in 1980. And she changed her diet straight away. She went very focused on healthy living. She followed the Bristol Cancer Help treatment. Yeah. Now looking back, a lot of that was very questionable pseudoscience, the kind of thing I fight against these days.
Okay.
However, what it did do was bring a very health conscious mindset into our household. Yeah. And I was taught food is good for you and stuff like that. Yeah. And there was a lot of talk about good nutrition and got me thinking. And mum actually, through a combination of great healthcare and good mindset and good nutrition, managed to survive another 11 years before she finally succumbed to breast cancer. And she saw me, she died at the end of my first year at uni. Okay. So she saw me get to uni and do nutrition, which was great, right?
And surpassed what the doctors had given her.
Yes, and
right?
This was the 80s, right? Yeah. Medical advances now are fabulous. It's brilliant. And but doctors did really looked after her, which was great. So that was, I always say the bodybuilding and my mother are the 2 reasons why I got into nutrition. And then I studied it, bodybuilding cliche, I want to learn what I can to get bigger muscles. Yeah. So knowledge is power, etc.
And you competed as well, right? Which is a learning process in itself, understanding how to get yourself in that kind of shape.
I competed at a very low level. It's not big around the bush here. I did.
But you still stepped on stage. And to step on stage, I think at any level is still very difficult. I struggle to stay on my macros my coach gives me from a week to week basis.
Did you ever compete?
I competed when I was 18.
Right.
In the ANB, it was called then, the amateur natural bodybuilding. I won the British Championship.
Okay.
And then I had nowhere to go after that. So I kind of lost my way, found, drinking and going out and girls and partying and didn't really do what I should have done, which is used it as a catalyst to move forward with bodybuilding. I was kind of like, well, I've won the under 18s. There's 3 years to go till the under 21s. Yeah. I can either get my head down for 3 years and not enjoy that aspect of my life and be religious about it, or I can just say, well, I've achieved a great thing here. I'll, take a back step for a few years, which is what I did.
Yeah. Okay. Interesting.
Long time ago, 22 years ago. Yeah.
I actually didn't do the party. I did the bodybuilding thing, but I wasn't so much for competing. I went to uni and of course I did party a bit, but I was never a big drinker, never have been. Not to say that it was the odd night that I've always had, that I have had a good session, so to speak. Yeah. But I was always focused on wanting to, bodybuilding always came first, bodybuilding and studies. Yeah. Always came first. So, but competing wasn't for me, right? I figured out my skills were probably more in helping other people compete. So
Okay.
I used to get people.
And you got
people,
more fulfillment from that than competing yourself. Right?
Yeah, I help people get ready for shows at all levels, in bodybuilding and strongman to some degree. And then I ended up going and promoting shows. I put on bodybuilding shows at all levels, really. I had a local show that I ran for years called Muscle Talk Championships because of the website.
Yeah.
But I also did co-promote international shows at some point as well.
Yeah.
And that's how I met Steve Orton, who I believe you had on the podcast recently.
We have had him on, Good mate now.
Good guy,
Yeah. Very nice guy and a good example of, well, we talked primarily on our podcast about connecting, and he, there's pretty much no one that he doesn't know in health and fitness.
He really is, he's good.
And although he's not a bodybuilder and enthusiastic about that side, he's enthusiastic about health and fitness. And like we speak about now, you get older, you start to think about health span and lifespan, looking good, but also the training transitions and changes.
Yes, but very much. He's definitely well-connected guy. And I met him, I think, in 2008, 2009, up to the run-up of the first Body Power, which I was a bit of an advisor, so to speak, with them. Sort of help them put on the event that year.
And so when you were approached for the formulation of Huel, you were doing what? You were running the shows, running the website?
Muscle Talk, and I had my consultancy as well. So that's how Julian found me.
And had that transitioned into remote at that stage, the consultancy, or were you still doing everything in person?
I was doing online diet advice. So we weren't really on the Zoom wasn't a thing, and Skype was not that well used. But I was doing online advice by email and stuff like that.
How do you feel about? Do you feel like? I mean, you said to me off camera, you've been incredibly lucky, and for that reason, you want to give back. And we can speak a bit about that. But do you feel like it was luck that this opportunity came to you? Do you think there is something in putting out good work and good into the world, and then at some point in your life, these big opportunities will come to you, but you have to be open-minded enough to take them?
That's a brilliant question. And this is one that philosophically we could talk about. I'm a determinist in the philosophical world. I don't know if anyone's ever paid attention to the free will debates. Is there such a thing as human free will? I very much come from the determinist perspective, and I know it's going to upset a lot of people hearing that, and I'm not something I really feel.
What does that mean? Tell me what that means.
So I'm like, listen, nutritionist here, not a philosopher, okay? Yeah. So take this with a pinch of salt, but broadly speaking, there's a question whether free will is, humans have free will. There's broadly three ways of thinking. There's a libertarian free will, like from a libertarian political economic perspective, we make up our own minds. We're responsible. We have agency, and we're responsible.
Yeah.
Most people who have thought about it for a few hours dismiss that.
Yeah.
It's the other two where the conflict is. There's the compatibilist explanation where free will is some sort of emergent phenomena that comes out of the neurological processes. And then there's the determinist which is probably the argument I'm more convinced about. And I'm very much conscious that I am a nutritionist and I'm talking well out of my depth here, but it's that, and let me put that in perspective of what I'm trying to say about, to answer your question here, luck versus hard work. Yeah. Well, everything comes down to luck in my perspective, everything. Now, they are not mutually exclusive though. Some people, I've been asked before, what percentage of that is hard work and what percentage of that is luck?
Yeah.
They're not mutually exclusive. Okay.
Yeah.
You can have both. So do I work hard? Yeah. I think that's an objective statement. I work hard compared to a lot of other people. Am I the hardest working individual in the world? Definitely not. But I put a lot of effort into what I do. I think about what I do. I cross-check and do that. But it's all down to luck.
Yeah.
Where does that capability come from? Luck. I didn't make that. I was very fortunate to have good parents who supported me.
Yeah.
I was very fortunate to be born in the latter part of the 20th century in a country called the UK, where as much as everyone likes to moan about it, is brilliant.
Yeah.
And there's a lot wrong with it, but it's brilliant. I'm fortunate. I've, I was very fortunate. I probably got above average intelligence.
Yeah.
So that's not, whether that was my genes, whether that was my environment, I still didn't come out of my mother's womb and say, I'm going to do this, that, and the other. It was all fortune. It's 100% luck.
Yeah.
And I think when people can accept that everything is luck,
yeah,
you can. And the fact that I have the ability to work hard, is that not luck?
Yeah, everything, if you go back far enough, is luck.
Yes.
I agree with you.
And this is where the determinist.
What I think is an important point, though, is you have to put yourself in a position by working hard, thinking bigger. There might be an opportunity. So, for example, I'm a nutritionist. There might be an opportunity that comes my way in the future that's really big, that takes me out of this life that I'm in now. If it doesn't, I have to force a position in my life where I'm happy. I'm happy doing the one-to-one consultations. I'm happy creating online content. I'm happy running the website. I'm happy promoting the shows. So you're not sitting there unhappy waiting for this moment. But if it comes along, you've put yourself in the best position to be able to take it up. As in, if you had no online profile, you wouldn't have been found. If you weren't doing great work, you wouldn't have been chosen. If you hadn't studied and done study after study after study post-university to better yourself, you wouldn't have impressed in order to get the job, these kind of things, right?
And that's why they're not mutually exclusive.
Exactly.
It's still 100% luck, but it's also 100% hard work.
Yeah, like going back to what we spoke about before we started filming, although we were rolling, so maybe that will be in. Tony Robbins, I went to Business Mastery as an attendee with no intention to become business partners with Tony. But because I put myself in a position to create an accounting firm that if he did due diligence, which he did do 2 years worth, every single one of my clients is going to have something good to say. And we have a good reputation and we do good work. If I hadn't put myself in that position, I can ask to be the UK partner all I want, but I'm not going to get that opportunity because we haven't done the groundwork. Yeah. Interesting though.
So we still have to be, to some degree, we have to consciously do these things, but where does the consciousness come from? Anyway, I'm very much out of my philosophical.
No, it's really interesting though. I think it's a nice link to what we spoke about in the kitchen, which I wanted to mention. So I went to my kids' school this morning, which is why, thank you, we pushed the podcast back slightly. They had their first induction day to a new school. And what I loved about this school is, although the academic results of this school are probably the best in this area where we live in the Midlands, their actual focus is on happiness of the kids, fulfilling their potential, and then going back and doing good in the world, which I really wanted to go. I want to go to their school because I think we forget that sometimes. We get so focused on fulfilling our potential, we can sometimes get to the point where we're not happy and we don't take enough time for ourselves. And if we are managing to be mindful, present, happy, fulfill your own potential, you're then not going and giving back, right?
I remember you telling me this earlier, and I've not heard it before. I think it's brilliant because, like I mentioned, we live in the West, where most cultures in the West, North America and Europe, or some parts of Europe, are very individualistic. Yeah. And we focus on the me and the self. Yeah. And that's fine to a degree. But we are fundamentally social species. Yeah. And we depend on each other. That's how evolution has happened. And some of the Eastern mindsets, take Japan for instance, and some degree, as I hear, Germany as well, are much more socially community focused. Can't remember what the alternative to individualism is. Oh, sorry. I'm trying to be a philosopher here and I'm failing dismally.
It's okay. I don't know what the word is either, but it's based on not just thinking about yourself, but how do I use the skills that I've acquired to help other people? Exactly. And I think it's great if we can get, you're saying this is being taught in the school for your kids. Yeah. That's brilliant. Because if they can have that taught, if taught's the right word, or at least be influenced, that's a better word. Yeah. Influenced at a young age to have that sort of mindset, then they'll grow up and hopefully they can spread that meme to others. Exactly. And us as parents, we get very into, okay, let's fulfill my kids are footballers. Let's fulfill your potential as footballers. Let's fulfill your academic potential. And we're not spending enough time thinking about, are they happy? Are they doing good for other kids? Where are they taking the kids that maybe come at their school and join in football and PE and aren't very good, and actually take them to the side and help them, versus have the mentality of laughing at them? So it's really, really interesting. And I think that if you apply it to what you've done at Huel, which I'd love to talk about, I'm not sure what the brief was for creating this, because I know you said that, the background of your founder is marketing, but this product is not primarily just there to make money, right? There's a gap in the market, genuinely, where people are seeking poor quality nutrition, where they don't have time to prepare a meal, and this allows them to have something that's healthy, which is why I know that Stephen Bartlett speaks about it on Diary of a CEO, and I know for a fact that he will not promote something unless he genuinely believes in it, because he has enough money. It's not about him putting products out there to make money. And so where you see a connection between someone like that, whose standards and values do align with mine, and this product, you instantly know that there's credibility there. Yeah. So what was the brief when you came in and looked at creating Huel? And I have got a question that maybe we'll disagree on about the formulation. I'm not a nutritionist, so you'll probably just blow me out of the water. But what's the brief for this? Is it designed to replace meals? Is it designed to be an extra snack? How do you see it being used optimally by people?
So firstly, there wasn't a brief as such back in 2014 when Julian and I were quite scrappy with what we did.
Yeah.
Julian had an idea, put it in an email, and kind of it went from there. But it was to be nutritionally complete. So make sure all the nutrition that one would need.
Yeah.
So it was basically, we launched the original powder on complete nutrition, which would be defined as everything you need if one were to have 2,000 calories per day of that product. I'm not saying people should or even would have 2,000 calories a day, but everything would be in it on a day. Now, why 2,000 calories? Because that's what the regulations set everything at, and also it's around about a female's daily requirements and a bit less for an average male's.
Yeah,
very much. These are based on.
And this would replace one of the three meals if you.
So we don't use the term meal replacement. I know a lot of people refer to Huel as a meal replacement. That's the common parlance.
Yeah.
But the term we use are complete foods.
Okay.
And let me just say what I mean by complete food. It means that it's got all the nutrition in it.
Yeah.
And it could be a meal. So what you've got the ready to drink there, which is very much a meal.
Yeah.
But we also have Huel bars, which are not a meal; they're a snack.
Yeah. Okay.
And the beauty about Huel is you can have as much or as little as you like
to fit in with your requirements.
Fit in with you.
So a good example is when you turned up today, and super nice. James is actually nice guy. We've not met before.
No, we haven't.
But you turned up with some goodies, which were amazing. My wife was super happy because she's going to the gym later. She had not prepped any food.
Okay.
Like we mentioned, I went to the football last night. We got back about 11:30. I didn't have time to prep my meals. Mm-hmm. This morning, you can see I've cooked chicken, I've cooked vegetables, I've cooked rice, but I don't have the time to eat that. I can't eat that meal while I'm doing a podcast.
Yeah.
So for me, and this might be wrong, but a perfect use of this product is I've had breakfast. Mm-hmm. I need a meal in between now and going to the gym. Otherwise, I'm going to be starving when I go to the gym and I'm not going to have any nutrients in me. Mm-hmm. I can sit here and sip on this Huel, flavor of which I've picked so the color scheme fits in with the podcast.
Oh, yeah.
Actually, I'm not just saying this, but it does taste great. Normally, you have these drinks and they have a bit of a artificial aftertaste. Mm-hmm. This is the vanilla. It tastes really good. But that will replace my second meal, brunch meal. I have 5 or 6 meals a day. So I can go into my leg workout and I know I've got good nutrition in me. Mm-hmm. Is that a good use of this drink?
Yes. I mean, Huel, you can have as much or as little as you like.
Yeah.
So firstly, thanks for your compliment on the taste. We've worked really hard. We've got a brilliant team.
Because I've only had the chocolate ones before, which are good, but I think I prefer this vanilla actually.
Yeah, we've got eight flavors in the ready to drink.
Yeah.
And the team, my colleagues at Huel, have done a brilliant job of making it taste good. Let me just be clear here. I'm the nutritionist behind the product, along with the other nutritionists more recently. I don't have much to do with making it taste good.
Yeah.
So this is, credit to my colleagues.
But another thing you said is, because I had the kids knocking around and we've sent them upstairs to watch a movie, and you cannot hear them in the background. They're being quiet as mice. Is that kids can have this as well?
Kids can. So it's designed for adults, but there's a lot of good reason that people should have meal times together.
Yeah,
and it's especially important for kids.
For sure. For having we have family dinner every night, 5 o'clock, 2 or 3 different vegetables, ideally. Nice complex carbohydrate, nice lean protein source. And
there's other reasons you should have a meal, and not just the food.
The social aspect.
The social aspect.
Yeah, 100%.
And there's some research done on this, which is something if it's time we could perhaps talk about. But there are other benefits from eating together. So but if kids are making poor food choices, which so many do these days.
Anna, I took my kids to Silverstone Festival.
Okay.
And apologies, I have a habit. My wife tells me off all the time of interrupting people. She's like, I listened to your first 3 podcast episodes. All you do is interrupt your guests. I'm like, I'm not as bad as Gary Vee, so I'm on the scale of things. I'm okay. We went to Silverstone Festival. All there was to eat was pizza, fish and chips, burgers and hot dogs. So if I'd have just packed 3 of these in my backpack, I'd much rather give them this and even a bar or something if they're feeling like they need something more solid in their stomach, just for the hunger element that they're used to eating something, which is maybe something we can speak about. I feel much better about it because I don't want to give them
it's perfect, and
all
also
that junk food.
Also, it's a lot cheaper these days. Out buying burgers,
18 quid the fish and chips was at Silverstone Festival. How much is a Huel?
So that online, I think it works out at I don't know what it is. It's certainly less than £3 online. But if you get it from the stores, it's between £3.50, maybe £4, depending on where you get it from. And that's a meal.
And it does. Let me ask you this. I mean, this is not business related for this podcast, and the episode will be slightly different. But I'm hoping that people that are now starting to watch, listen, subscribe are similar to me, interested in their own physical and mental health, entrepreneurs, and they will be interested in this. The formulation has a high degree of fat in there, but it's really good quality fat. And so I think I'm going to drink this, and I'm not going to get the what's the word? It begins with S. Satiation?
Satiety.
Satiety, as in I'm still going to feel hungry because there's not something physical in my stomach. But I don't think you do, because it's got a higher fat content, so it actually gets rid of the hunger.
Fat's that it will get rid of hunger.
Yeah.
It's not down to the fat.
Right.
Let me explain.
Okay.
So satiety and appetite and cravings are very, very complex. And I can do a whole podcast episode just talking about what goes into that.
Maybe we have to have you back to help me with my late night snack issues.
We can talk about that. So, but satiety is complicated. But there's some key nutrients that do affect satiety. So there are protein. Yeah. Protein is less calorific. No, can't say the word. Caloric availability. Okay. Yeah. So the amount of available calories from protein are a lot fewer than the other macronutrients. And by macronutrients, I mean protein, carbs, and fats and fiber. Yeah. Okay. So because it's got a high protein level at 20 grams per bottle, or 22 grams depending on the flavor. Yeah. That actually will help keep you feeling full for longer. Okay. But more importantly, it's also the fiber.
Yeah, because this has got 6 grams of fiber in, right?
Yes, it's high fiber as well, which also slows down the breakdown. And it's soluble fiber as well. Okay. Which, through a complex reaction within the body, takes a long time to get broken down by the gut microbiome, the good bacteria and microbes in your gut. And that gives a more sustained energy release. Now, are you familiar with the term glycemic index?
I am, yeah.
So, but for people who don't know, GI, glycemic index, is the time taken from any carbohydrate-containing meal or food to break down for glucose, to raise blood glucose level. Okay? Yeah. So products that are high GI, glycemic, sugary snacks, etc., give you that surge of energy and then the slump. Yeah. Well, all Huel products are low GI, meaning they give you a low sustained energy. So that will be, the GI will be related to the whole formulation, including the fats, which there's a reasonable amount of fat in it, but it's got omega-3s, which are good for you, and monounsaturates, like oleic acid, which are also beneficial, shown to as a proportion of total fat intake to benefit blood cholesterol levels.
Okay.
But because the reasonable fat intake and the as well as the carbohydrate matrix and the proteins and the fiber all mean it's low GI. So now satiety, well, for instance, some people, my wife for instance, she'll have half a bottle of that and that's filled her up.
Yeah.
I mean, personally, like you, I'm a reasonable eater. I'll have a full bottle and that's great.
Yeah.
So satiety is subjective, but for sure it will fill you up on some level.
Yeah, because normally I'm starving. It's 11:55. I have oats, protein, blueberries, dark chocolate, usually for breakfast. And then, 3 hours later, I'm starving, which I was before I drank that. And now I'm not hungry at the moment.
Great.
Which if I just had a protein shake, which is what people typically would do in the place of something like Huel in the past, where there's no carbohydrate, there's no fiber, there's no added vitamins, there's nothing else in there, it doesn't really help your hunger. For me, personally, I know you're saying it's individual, but for me, that wouldn't stop my hunger if I just had a protein shake. I'd have to have a protein shake and something else, right?
Yeah, and hunger's subjective, right? So personally, I do fasting. I haven't eaten yet since 7 o'clock yesterday.
Oh, wow.
And that was we do a complete protein shake as well, which is protein, vitamins and minerals.
Okay.
And not a little bit of the essential fats, but very low carb.
Yeah.
I had one of those after my dinner last night, and I've not eaten since, and I will have something, don't know, about 1 o'clock maybe.
Yeah.
That's because I kind of like it. Now, I'm not here to debate the pros and cons of fasting and whether it helps fat loss or not, because I know that will get me into trouble with a lot of my nutritionist peers. But I like it. So
I think
anyone who argues
got
with me can
to
stick it.
Yeah,
right?
I mean, in the debate, that's where we've got to, right?
Yes.
I think people don't argue. The general consensus is now, if you're an entrepreneur and you get most of your work done in the morning, if you don't eat and you get up and you fast, you can focus more, and people feel like they can get more done and they don't have a slump. It's probably not optimized if your just primary goal is to build as much muscle as possible. You can argue that either way.
It's
personal. It's all personal.
It's personal.
If it makes you feel good, and it's definitely good for you to eat less often.
Definitely good to eat less often. So the fasting, I'm actually not convinced that there's anything magical happens by fasting for fat loss, apart from the fact that you generally consume less food over the day. So I'm on board with my peers there.
It's easier to stay on your calorie requirements if you're only eating for half the day, right?
Yeah. So one thing, if we could talk briefly about fasting before we go back to where we were. There's a term I've invented called the aging bodybuilder's dilemma.
Okay.
Let me explain what that is, because I am probably an aging. Well, we're all aging, right?
Yeah.
But I've been training since I was 16. I'm in my early 50s now, and I have different motivations. I want to live to be old, right?
Yeah.
But I want to be really old and cantankerous, right? But I want to be fit and able to be cantankerous, right? To an old age, right? So I want to keep healthy, but I've still got that bit of I want to look good, etc. And I want to look good when I'm 80. I want to be the biggest in the old people's home. Okay.
This is my dilemma. Yeah,
right.
I am the aging bodybuilder's dilemma.
So let me tell you about an enzyme.
Yeah.
Called mTOR.
I've heard of this,
which stands for mammalian or mechanism target of rapamycin. Okay.
Yeah.
And it's actually an enzyme complex. We won't go down there. Now, this enzyme is the enzyme that needs to be switched on for protein synthesis.
Okay.
Okay. If it's not switched on, you don't synthesize protein.
Yeah.
And what do bodybuilders like? They love protein synthesis.
Yeah.
Now, you've heard of BCAAs, branched chain amino acids.
Yeah.
Now, there are 3 branched chain amino acids: leucine, isoleucine, and valine.
Yeah.
And the biggie there that everyone talks about in the bodybuilder is leucine.
Yeah.
And the reason for that is it's the most potent stimulator of mTOR.
Okay.
So leucine, and to some degree the other two as well, but leucine has to be at a certain level for protein synthesis to tick on. Let's say we had a meal and it had no BCAAs in it.
Yeah.
Which wouldn't be true because every food has some degree.
Yeah.
But it was low in the BCAAs, or especially low in leucine. Then all that protein protein synthesis wouldn't activate.
Yeah.
So you need a certain amount, which is why bodybuilders love to supplement with it. Now, questionable whether you actually need to supplement with it, because if you have a good amount of protein, by default, you'll be getting enough protein synthesis. Okay.
Yeah.
But broadly speaking, you mentioned you have 5 or 6 meals a day.
Yeah.
Probably because you train and you want protein synthesis to be working.
Yeah.
Okay. And you need mTOR to do that. And also, talk about getting older, you want protein synthesis. You want to be training. You want strong muscles because that helps reverse the aging process, or at least helps curb the age-related decline.
Yeah, it's one of the major indicators,
Correct.
Right? Which Peter Attia's worked through his lab have said. Zone 2, VO2 max, stability, and the amount of physical muscle you have on your foot.
Correct. So you need mTOR for that.
Yeah.
However, but this is the problem with mTOR. It ages muscle. mTOR ages the body.
Right.
That's the problem with it. So you don't want it on because it's associated with aging. So how do you do that? There's a dilemma. Do you see the dilemma? You want to curb aging.
Protein
you want
synthesis, and you want the maximum muscle. However, you don't want the aging.
Correct. So how do you do that? So this is where I think fasting comes in. Okay. Now this is what a lot of the research into fasting looks at. Now we've spoken about the cognitive. It makes you feel clearer-headed. And there's also some sort of philosophical perspectives to do, which we can talk about as well briefly. But physiologically, it's interesting because if you can go, say, 16 hours without eating, then mTOR will be off, at least in the latter parts of it, switched off, which is great because it means it helps, hopefully, curb the aging process.
Yeah.
But you want it switched on for that other period. So that's where you eat a good amount of protein for the 8 hours or whatever.
So the protein, you want it on for that period. So the protein you need is synthesized well during that period.
Yes.
And then the rest of the time you want it off. So you're minimizing the aging element over the other element of the day.
How well is the research to back this up? It's not that great.
Yeah.
A lot of it's theoretical. A lot of it's done in other species. It seems like a sound theory.
Yeah.
Is it a firm theory? And could it be debunked? Has it been well replicated? Or I don't know if it's been well replicated, but it's certainly interesting.
Yeah.
Okay. And that's enough for me.
Yeah. And a lot of the time it is just about, does it make common sense? And there may not be a peer-reviewed study out there for it. But if it makes common sense, you apply it, it doesn't make you feel bad. There probably will be a study that comes out and it's to prove it at some point.
And there's more to it than that. Like I mentioned, I'm very fortunate. I live in the West. Food is everywhere. Yeah. I'm not going to go hungry, right? If I don't have breakfast, am I really going to starve? Do I really need that? If I was to have one meal a day, would that be a problem? No. Because as long as you eat enough nutrition in that, you're not going to starve. And people, people are spoiled in the West, and they've got plenty of food, and they've got pleasure, and we eat food for pleasure, which is great. There's good evolutionary reasons why we must get pleasure from our food, and not stick to boring foods all the time. I'm just smiling because I know you seem to imply that you got meticulous with the foods you prepare.
Back in the day, now I eat the same things every day. Yeah. But I design the meal plan for meals that I enjoy. Like my brunch every day usually is a nice Hawksmoor fillet steak, medium rare, cooked on the barbecue ideally. Char grilled green beans and broccoli is making me hungry now. Okay. And jasmine rice.
Yeah, so you enjoy that, okay? But I'm very much of the mindset of variety. Yeah. And we should vary what we eat for a number of reasons, and some of them are physiological, some of the psychological,
which
some
I'm
of the
not
social.
My only variety is the evening meal, which my wife will cook.
But you have a variety every day. So you're having variety. So you're having variety, so that's cool, right? But this, we don't need to eat so much. So as I've got older, I've thought, I try and be conscious to think, well, do I really need that? I just try and be mindful of think, well, I don't need that. My ancestors didn't have the good fortune to have 3 meals a day. Yeah. If you go back far enough. So it's kind of that process as well. And I'm not saying,
what's your routine then? You'll fast right through to when? And then how many meals do you have?
For a start, I don't have a routine. Okay. I broadly, most of 6 days out of 7 all fast. Okay. Yeah. I may eat at 11, I may eat at 1 or 2 even sometimes. It varies depending on what I'm doing, how I'm feeling. If I'm busy and I think I don't really want dinner at the moment, I won't have it. But and I don't have a set number of meals after that. I just eat good food. Yeah. My wife generally prepares an evening meal. She's a very good cook, which is handy if you're a nutritionist. Yeah. or arguably not handy, because I should be preparing food myself and learning from it. But we have plant-based meals 2 or 3 times a week. I try and eat more plant foods, for both based on environmental, ethical, and physiological motivations. But I vary. I have Huel regularly in my diet, not routine. I'll have at least one Huel product a day. The days I'm in HQ are probably more because it's there and I haven't got to bring food with me.
Yeah.
I'd say between 1 and 3 Huel meals or snacks a day.
Which is the proof in the pudding, because if you're happy, I mean, it could have been the case where you came up with the formulation and by the time it got onto the shelf or into the bottle, it wasn't something that you wanted to drink.
I would have left the company.
Yeah,
absolutely. So I think we went off topic earlier, but you were saying, Julian's motivation was he'd made some money and I think he wanted to do something he was proud of.
Yeah.
I don't want to speak for him here, but I've heard him say this several times. And he was marketing first, and he wasn't particularly proud of it, although he was very fortunate.
Yeah.
But he wanted to do something that he could create something that he was proud of.
And a legacy, I guess, as well.
Yeah. Right? And he didn't expect Huel to be this. He thought it'd be a nice little project. He wanted a community of people that had his products, and he was happy with that.
Yeah.
But then he realised that actually it was soaring, and he actually realised he was.
It is amazing, isn't it? Because if you think it's still a very young company. Now, any supermarket you go in, most small shops, I mean, I'd be really interested, and this is a different podcast, but the distribution, how it's managed to get into so many places so quickly, which you are developing a product which is there to help people, it needs to be easily accessible for people. So
the ready to drink is the product that's available in retail.
Yeah.
Our new product, the Daily A to Z, which isn't a meal, it's a slightly sparkling flavoured drink with all the vitamins and minerals and fibre. And that is also appearing on the shelves now. Now, how have we got into the retail? Because we've got a brilliant team of that work on that area. We've got a brilliant product, but the product has to be sold. So,
would you say that's one of Julian's key ethoses is to actually, he's got the idea. He's not trying to come up with a formulation. He's brought what he considers to be the best nutritionist in. Then he'll bring a team of PR people, a team of marketing people, a team of distribution people, and it's bring the right people in for the right area in the business.
Absolutely. I'm very fortunate. I work with very good people. We've got 250 people now at Huel.
Wow.
Globally, we're now up to 5 offices. We just opened a German office, so we've got HQ in Tring in Hertfordshire.
Yeah.
Got a London office, a Birmingham office, and a New York office.
Yeah.
We're just doing a big retail expansion in Germany now, which is
And you must go to the gym all the time and see people in the Huel t-shirts.
I do.
I literally see one person every day in a Huel t-shirt.
I went on holiday to Montenegro a few weeks ago, right?
Yeah.
And I was walking down the street there and walked by someone in a Huel t-shirt. Now if anyone follows me on Instagram or TikTok, they'll know I recently had a Huel tattoo on my calf.
Oh, have you?
Yeah, I've got jeans on, so I can't. It'd be a bit weird if I took my trousers off, especially when your family's around. But but I thought my wife said you should have just stopped them and pointed to my tattoo because you had a Huel t-shirt on. But I So incidentally, that's been a topic of conversation because people don't know who I am.
Yeah,
I was on another holiday in Rhodes recently, and I was in the gym there and talking to some people, and they said, "Oh, like your tattoo." And I said, yeah. So I actually work for the company because I didn't want to say immediately what I do in the company. And they said, "Cool, you must be a big fan of it." And it evolved from that. And they said, "Well, they had Huel."
Yeah.
And they said, "We saw you at breakfast." And I said, "I bet you thought it was a bit weird, didn't you?" They went, "Yeah, we did. Just thought I was a super fan or something." But but that's part of the point, isn't it? I've got the tattoo because look, I'm not,
And you believe in it?
I've got quite a few tattoos, so I should probably get the company that I'm involved with.
Yeah, for sure.
So we do see people in the gym or walking down the street with your t-shirts, which is great.
And it's building a community. And so, what are the goals for you with Huel moving forward? What were your goals with the new products that you've designed in terms of the formulation? So the sparkling drink.
Okay.
How does that complement, what is that there for? And what are the other products that are there? Because I didn't even know that Huel do They do bars as well,
Yep.
like protein bars.
So the other products are, so we've got the powders.
Yeah.
So we've got the ready to drink. Let's talk about that first. They're the ones in retail that nowadays most people are familiar with because they're the ones that are available in the shops.
Okay.
We started with the white pouch powder, which
Yeah.
is we call regular Huel,
Yeah.
which is based on 6 main ingredients: oats, flaxseed, MCT powder from coconut,
Yeah.
sunflower oil powder, pea protein and brown rice protein, and
Yeah.
then a couple of other ingredients as well in later formulations, and a bespoke vitamin mineral blend to make sure
Yeah.
it's complete nutrition. 4 years ago, we launched what's called Black Edition powder, which is the more popular powder now, which was higher in protein, higher in essential fats, and lower in carbohydrates,
Okay.
and slightly different ingredients.
So those would be the ones, if you were going on holiday, for example, you're going away for a trip,
Correct.
order those, put them in the suitcase, take a protein shaker, happy days.
Or a Huel shaker, which
Or a Huel
is what I did when I went to Rose recently.
Yeah.
Took some Black Edition with me and saves money and going out. If my wife doesn't want to go out for lunch, then I just have a Huel.
Yeah.
And saves money as well. And then we've got the bars, which you mentioned, which are more of a snack, but they're not a protein bar. They're high protein. They're complete nutrition. They've got everything in them.
And you've designed the nutrition element of all of these products
with my team. So early on, it was just me.
Yeah.
But now we've got a team of other qualified.
So you get other people's input, and also, as you've said, you like people who will argue with you as well and say,
exactly.
But what do you think about this? But what do you need to be challenged, right?
One of the strengths of Huel, of many strengths of the team, is we've got a lot of qualified, experienced people, and that includes nutritionists. So we've got the direct nutrition, sustainable nutrition team, of which there's 7. One person's is a sustainability expert in the food industry, and the rest of us are registered nutritionists or dietitians. And that's a strength. There's not many food companies who've got that. So there's 6, but it's not only that. Within the product development team, the technical team, and even I think in the marketing team, we've got other people with a nutrition background. So I don't know the exact. We've got probably 18 or 20 people in the company out of 250 who have got a good, solid, reputable nutrition background.
Yeah.
I'm really proud of that.
Yeah, that's really interesting as well, because normally in a company, marketing would just be marketing people, but actually they really need to have someone within that pod that understands in depth the product from a nutrition standpoint.
Exactly.
If you're writing a marketing message and writing an ad or looking at website content or copy, you need to really understand.
We do that, and they all, for both a regulatory perspective, they all should come by the people in the nutrition team, my colleagues there.
Yeah.
But yeah, what you were saying is I've made sure that my immediate team, that the 6 of us, we challenge each other. I'm very much into, if they disagree with some message I'm saying, I want to know, right? And they do. And, I will disagree with them as well. And they might disagree back, and we can have a conversation. And we have, at Huel, we have nutrition club once a month.
Okay.
Where the immediate team and a few of the others who I mentioned who've got nutrition background come in, and we take it in turns, 10 minutes, maybe talking about a paper or something going on in the world, or we just listen in and we share. And we've actually got that with the Association for Nutrition for CPD points for nutrition as well. So it's recognised as a learning thing, and I think that's really important because. But the only thing is, it has to be something to do with the business, but that's very broad, right? Yeah, because we all eat, so you can take that. It's quite to its extreme to be lenient, but I find that really useful. I look forward to that once a month. Yeah. Sometimes I present, sometimes I listen to other people presenting.
And is your role there now to lead and inspire those nutritionists? What else do you do, and what else are your roles and responsibilities at Huel? Is it to generate ideas for new products, to be constantly learning and developing yourself, to see if the formulation needs to evolve based on changing science and things like that? Or are you just having people come in and report to you their findings and their research?
We're very much collaborative.
Okay.
I do try and challenge, but I hope people challenge me as well. Julian is very much the entrepreneur of the 2 of us, right? I get called an entrepreneur loads because I've got co-founder on my title. Yeah. I disagree with that. So a conversation maybe for another time. What is an entrepreneur? I don't think I am, and that's fine. It's not my skill. I am more of an executor.
Yeah.
But also, I would like to think I've got some ideas I can contribute. So it'll usually start like this with a product. So every product that's come out has been Julian's idea.
Yeah. Okay.
But I would like to think that I've furthered his idea of every product.
Yeah.
So he'll come up with the original concept. So, and I have said no to a couple, by the way, that I don't think have worked, but would work, not so much commercial. We've said no to a number that haven't worked commercially, but I don't think it'll work from the science nutrition perspective.
Yeah.
But broadly speaking, he's had some great ideas. Obviously, they've been great because they've done well. And he's given me the sort of impetus, and then I've probably furthered it, and then he's challenged me on other bits, and it's gone from there.
But that's a really good lesson for anyone listening that has a business. We speak a lot on the podcast about integrators and visionaries. And the best businesses, I'm not sure if you've ever read a book called Traction or familiar with the EOS methodology. It's the entrepreneurial operating system. It's what we run Grow Factor on, and we run any clients that come to Grow Factor and get strategic help. We help them understand EOS. It basically says, once you reach a certain size, or ideally, right from the outset, you need to have a visionary and you need to have an integrator. So Julian will be the visionary, where he's coming up with the ideas, but he doesn't want to then go and execute. He doesn't want to be involved in the manufacturing of the bottle, all of those little bits.
Yeah.
You need an integrator to come in who actually runs the business day to day, and different integrators have had different hats on. You'd be the technical integrator, for example, in that scenario. Yeah, we're responsible for the nutrition, which is the main element of the product, isn't it?
It's one of the main elements. We've got this thing at Huel that we say nutrition first, but taste a close second.
Okay.
It's a mindset thing, right? Because we could have objectively the best nutritious, sustainable products there.
Yeah.
If they taste awful, no one's going to buy them, right?
No one's going to keep drinking them.
If they're not commercially viable, if they're too expensive, if they're not marketed the right way, nobody's going to buy them. So you can be objectively the best product, but you've failed in that goal.
Yeah.
If it's not marketed right, taste right, isn't commercially viable. If you genuinely feel it's going to help people and improve people's health, you have to consider the other factors. People don't get that. I also, just going back to your other point about Julian sort of coming up with the ideas, we have a CEO. After the first 2 years, Julian was sort of CEO. He realised it's probably not his skill, certainly not my skill. Yeah. So we employed another James McMaster, who's been with like 5.5 years now, I think, maybe.
Who runs the business.
Who runs the business, and he's does an excellent job.
Yeah.
And so it's a really good, and we've got a whole senior team as well with the COO, CFO.
Yeah.
And other.
But that is how you scale a business. You have to be and acknowledge upfront, which lots of people don't, and then they get stuck because they're doing everything themselves. Yes, correct. You have to know your skill set. You have to not be arrogant. I think the pushback from people would be, okay, well, Julian was financially successful. He had money. He could afford to go and hire all these other people up front before necessarily the income and the profitability came in. But you can either do it sustainably over time, like we're doing at Grow Factor, or if you've got a really good business with a really good model and people believe in you, you can either go and get investment, or you can get funding to go and do it. Yeah, but you can't do it all on your own. With Julian, I think he said before it was like 250,000 was his initial investment. Yeah, we didn't get anything more until 3 years in, when we had our first round of funding, and then we had another round of funding just under a year ago, October I think last year. Yeah, and that's all we've had. Yeah. So because we've had the growth, we've managed to create the EBITDA to be able to move forward, which is very useful. And it's about making money, but having an impact. And if you want to have an impact and have this product reach more people, you need some upfront capital at certain points in order to front load the recruitment of people, the marketing campaigns, and everything else. There'll be these moments in time where you need to flood the business with capital to spend first to then acquire the results after, right? Yes, exactly. Yeah. And we just announced a couple of weeks ago that we're going to be launching our own manufacturing plant in Milton Keynes. Okay. So which will be spring, summer next year, be fully open. Bringing jobs into that area as well. We are, yeah. There's a bit of coverage now. If people go on LinkedIn, they can read about that. Oh, wow. I know some of the local business magazines are covering us there. And what have been, one question actually that it's not an argument, but it's a question. based on my understanding of what I want as a requirement. And I guess you might have already answered this actually. When I look at this, I'm like, fat, perfect, carbs, perfect. But I want more protein.
Okay.
For me.
Mm-hmm.
Why is there only 20 grams of protein in it? And is that because this is actually for the general population, which would be right? Because if they might hit themselves with 40 grams of protein, they probably struggle to digest that because they're not used to it and they don't necessarily need it.
So there's a couple of things there. You use the word only before 20 grams, which is interesting.
Yeah, because of my mindset.
Yes, correct. You're a gym girl, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So basically all Huel products are designed for average people.
Yeah.
Primarily. Now, I want to come back to answer that in a moment. Just when we launched the original powder, we had the one product. Huel was brilliant, right? Oh, it's the best thing. It had one limitation. It was inflexible.
Yeah.
The minute we brought out the Black Edition, the second powder, and then subsequently the complete protein, we didn't just have two powders, two choices. You had several because you can put one scoop of the white and one scoop of black. So then it became flexible. Some people use complete protein with their Black Edition, maybe one scoop of Black Edition, which is already high in protein, and one scoop of complete protein. So if I'm dieting down a little bit like I did from a holiday recently, that's what I was doing, for instance. So you become flexibility, then you have as much or as little protein as you like.
Okay.
So someone like yourself, and what you told me, the powders I think would probably suit you better.
Yeah.
That's there because it's old. I mean, the powders are convenient, right?
Yeah.
But the bottles are even more convenient, especially now they're available in a lot of stores nationwide.
Yeah. So if you're not primarily using this, if you decide that actually you want a bit more protein, this is for when you keep these in the fridge, and these are for.
But it is still high
really
protein.
Need it, and it's still enough protein to stimulate protein synthesis.
There's adequate protein there for most people.
Yeah.
Now I can't say too much, but we are working on that. But I can't say too much.
Okay, fine.
Okay.
All right.
But,
park that for now.
Yeah, there is just watch this space in a few months.
Are there any other things that I want to talk about your time at Huel and what you're doing now, if you're doing anything outside of Huel, in terms of the giving back? But I've wanted to speak about this a lot, and I haven't had the chance to have someone like you in for my own selfish reasons as well. What else do you think the aging bodybuilder, what was your term?
The aging bodybuilder's dilemma.
Aging bodybuilder's dilemma should be doing to maximize their health span and lifespan. So one of the things I've done is try to be less like a bodybuilder and eat lots of fruit and veg, make sure my fiber amount is optimal, take all my vitamins, minerals, fish oils, all of these kind of things, have regular blood tests. I had a blood test which showed that my testosterone was really low. It was 3.
Okay.
And I want it to be about 30. For anyone that's not done this, if you're a male and you're kind of over 40 at least, I would recommend getting a blood test and consulting with a doctor on what your testosterone levels are and if you've got any other things that come out of that blood test that are suboptimal. So I started doing HRT, hormone replacement therapy, maybe a year ago, with the supervision of a doctor, blood tests every month for the first 3 months, then 6 months, 9 months, 12 months. Now it's just every 6 months. And I sleep better. I've got more focus, more recovery in the gym, but I've just put my levels back to where they should be at my age.
Yeah.
I'm not putting them to super physiological levels or anything like that, like maybe a bodybuilder might do in preparation for a show if it's not a drug tested show. What's your view on TRT, and are there any other things that you think that people should do, males I guess, but people in general,
so
as they're getting older?
There's lots really to help slow down the age related decline. Yeah. And that doesn't just start when you get over 60, 65, right? I mean, I started thinking about this stuff when I was in my mid 40s. Yeah. I should have thought about it when I was a lot younger, like yourself. And
because I think there's a stigma around like it for men, whereas actually it's been proven that, just take TRT for example, and that's just one aspect of it. If you have optimum testosterone, it's healthier for you in terms of the risk of heart disease and other diseases to have testosterone at 30 or 25 or 20 than 3. Low testosterone can cause all number of problems as well.
That's not an area I know much about really, so I can't really comment on that. But there are some other things about age. So the best predictor of living longer and living longer healthier is a good VO2 max.
Okay.
So that is, and VO2 max is an objective marker of fitness, cardiovascular fitness primarily.
Yeah.
So the number one thing you can do is be fit. Okay. And it's something you can control to some degree. You can go out, at least walk. You don't have to be a super athlete. I'm not going to go run marathons or run.
So most people have Apple Watches now, right? And my understanding of VO2 max is you work out and you just get yourself in that top zone.
Yeah, I mean,
These are not supposed to be that accurate, but yeah.
Yeah, and I don't think you need to maybe have the watches. You just need to go out and do stuff, right?
Okay.
Just get up.
How do you know if you're doing VO2 max training though? If you don't have the watch.
You just the basic thing. A lot of people aren't even getting out and doing any form of exercise.
Yeah.
You don't need to go. Yeah, if you want to, great, and then you can go and get the tools, and you can do sprints, and you can do a mixture of sprinting and longer running for 40 minutes or whatever. But just go out and go for a brisk walk. Just enjoy it and do that. Let's be practical here. People don't want to be super athletes. People just want to do what they need to do. Just get some exercise. 2, 3, 4 times a week, go for a brisk walk.
Yeah.
If you can go to the gym, brilliant. The next thing is probably good sleep. You need to sleep better quality.
Yeah.
Now, me just telling people to go and sleep better, that isn't going to help. How helpful is that? Because I have every intention of sleeping well. I still wake in the night and I don't sleep enough. I'm okay. I'm sure there's a lot of people who do a lot worse than me, but I've had... over the last few months, I had a couple of nights where I slept so well.
Yeah.
I've got my baseline. And if I don't get that now, I'm annoyed.
And you don't track your sleep. You're just
doing
it.
I just want
Seems like to me you do a lot of things intuitively.
Yes.
Because you're in touch with your own body.
Yeah.
So you can wake up and think about how you slept.
Yeah. And sometimes I haven't slept so well.
Yeah.
And I'm kind of feel okay for most of the day. And I look back at the evening and I felt okay. Why wasn't there so many other things to consider, right? Yeah. Other days I haven't slept so well and I feel pretty crap all day. And I know if I'm writing, for instance, I'm just not writing as well. I don't bother.
Yeah.
Maybe I will end work at a reasonable time and go and watch telly.
Yeah.
Maybe I'll chill out.
So you won't force yourself on those days to push through. You'll be kind to yourself.
Yeah. I do have a few goals. Yeah. I will try and train at least 6 times a week of some form or another. That sounds a lot, but I'm not long duration, right? These are 40, 50-minute sessions.
But you enjoy training, so that's fine.
Yeah.
It's so like fun for you. It's
things
like
like
punishment.
that. Yeah, but what time of day, what sort of exercise that will be, and what days, they vary. But I just have that as a broad goal.
Yeah.
So we've talked about, we've mentioned VO2 max, we've mentioned sleep, also stress. Don't be stressed. Okay, everyone, don't be stressed. That's just really not helpful, is it? Right? Change your life circumstances and, be fortunate that you don't have to be stressed. But how helpful is that?
Yeah.
So there are things you can do to try and help minimize how you deal with stress, like meditation, mindfulness, being more objective, being more open-minded, having more friends. But again, you can't just make people have more friends. But incidentally, in its own right, having more friends and being more social is itself a marker for longevity. Brilliant book I'm going to recommend here by, her name's Marta Kaska, I think her name is, called Growing Young.
Okay,
and it's
write that.
Partly nutrition as well. Yeah. Really good. I had the good fortune of having a Zoom call with her a year or two ago, just picking her brains on stuff. I think it's really, she's also written another book called Meat Hooked, which is about meat, but Growing Young was an excellent book, highly recommended. And that looked not just at the nutrition and exercise, but about social and eating meal times together, like we've alluded to, and how the benefits aging. Nutrition and good diet comes after all that lot.
Okay.
After those, obviously there's interaction, so how stressed you are can relate to your diet.
Yeah. Eating
together relates to your diet. So there's a lot of overlap. But there's a couple of other key points just to answer your question, I think are good take homes. Omega-3s, very beneficial. So obviously they're from, people generally associate them with fish oil or oily fish, which if you're a vegan, then you can get them from other sources. The conversion, so there's 2 main omega-3s that are what we call conditionally essential, which are the fish oils, which are EPA and DHA.
Yeah.
But there's ALA, which is an essential fatty acids, and that's alpha-linolenic acid, and that can convert to the other 2. Unfortunately, the conversion is not very efficient, so you have to have a lot of ALA to get enough DHA especially.
Do you take supplemented fish oils?
So I do sometimes, but fortunately a lot of Huel products are high in ALA. They're not fish oils because obviously all Huel products are plant-based and suitable for vegans.
Yeah.
But because we've got a good amount of ALA in our products, then there's
Yeah.
enough for the conversion to take place.
How much do you recommend for people to have on a daily basis?
So there is no set amount. I wouldn't
You know,
say
I'm going to
daily.
be WhatsApping you questions on a weekly basis.
And that's fine.
Now
I'm going
we're
to
friends.
that
Yeah.
bloke again. He's annoying me. Question. I'm trying to relax, but it's and that, yeah, it's fine if people want to pick my brains. Incidentally, on social
But that's
media.
a question. I know. So you're putting out. James is putting out a lot more content online now. We spoke about that and getting familiar and getting comfortable in front of the camera. But the main reason you're doing it is because you've built up this massive wealth of knowledge, and we just want to share that with people.
Mm-hmm.
Like, if you look at how much I just take what's on the bottle now, and I buy a brand that I trust, like I take Nordic Naturals or Jarrow formulas or some of these other brands that I know are reputable, and I'll just take what they say to take on the side now, because I've given up trying to work out what you should take in terms of.
And that's great. You just eat well. So you mentioned omega-3s every day. It doesn't even have to be every day.
Yeah.
So the 2 or 3 times a week to have some oily fish, if you're a fish eater,
Yeah.
that will supply sufficient omega-3s.
Right. Okay.
Okay. But I think that's the bare minimum, mind you. I mean,
Can you overdose on them? So if I'm taking fish oils every day and I'm eating oily fish sometimes.
if you were taking, I think you'd have to go some.
Yeah.
You'd really have to try your very hardest,
Yeah.
and not from eating of it. So I don't know about that, but I'm pretty confident you'd have to go some.
Yeah.
And it's, I mean, I think, by the way, this is not just for age-related decline omega-3s, because they are linked to preventive cognition and dementia, help prevent dementia. It actually your need for them starts in pregnant mothers.
Yeah, so we give them to our kids. So
Yeah.
we had a call with a nutritionist because Caleb, our firstborn, we couldn't conceive for 2 years. I haven't spoken about this before, but we had IVF for him.
Okay.
Luckily, we had him on the first round. And what came with that process, because we used a Harley Street place at that time, was a consultation with a nutritionist who specialized in kids. So she said, take this while you're going through the process. And because we really liked her, we arranged a Zoom call after we'd had Caleb and said, well, as he's growing up, what should we give him? And so it was, there's a little probiotic sachet thing that he takes with a vitamin D in it, fish oil, and a multivitamin, a one-a-day multivitamin.
Yes, I mean, fish oils are or omega-3s, broad, but they don't have to be fish oils. I mean, you can get some vegan fish oils, if you like, because they're algae derived. And what do the oily fish eat? They eat the algae. So you're kind of the middleman or middle fish, so to speak. It's and they're great, but it's the one nutrient I think that should be more focused on. And I mean, there's a really interesting book by Kimberly Wilson called Unprocessed, by the way.
Okay.
So I think she's a psychologist and a nutritionist who's got quite skill set. The book's useful. It's really useful. I found it a little bit political in places, to be fair. Yeah. But I understand her anger at the government, because she wants more government policy to support people on lower incomes to have good nutrition. And she's got a good point, to be fair. But one of the key messages there was omega-3s at all ages. So this is something. So that's the biggest message, I would say, nutritionally. You mentioned probiotics. Yeah. So the microbiome is so important. Having a healthy microbiome doesn't have to be probiotics. Yeah. So the difference between probiotics and prebiotics are, for people who don't know, probiotics are the actual species. You're putting actual bacteria in. Okay. The prebiotics are what they eat. So I would say the prebiotic element's more important. Okay. So if you've been on antibiotics, for instance, maybe having a probiotic afterwards to put them back in is great, but you've got to be feeding them with a diverse range of foods. Now that is primarily fiber. Yeah. It's a fiber-rich diet, which is where the people say have loads of different plant-based foods every week. So the diversity is equally important as the quantity. Yeah. So eat lots of different plants. And this is easy, right? So that includes your cereals, nuts and seeds and different types of vegetables and fruits. It's actually not that hard. Yeah. You just got to make sure, which is like we were talking about variety. Part of the reason that variety is so important. Yeah, and just follow the principles, like you said. And having a healthy microbiome will. The science here is so vague because it's such a complex area, but we know that having a diverse microbiome is a good thing. Yeah, on a number of levels. What that means and the finer details is harder. We know that serotonin, for instance, the neurotransmitter that's involved in happiness, so-called the happy hormone. We know that 90 to 95% of that is synthesized within the enteric nervous system, which is the nervous system of the gut, not the brain, like most people think. But then, of course, it goes on and influences the brain.
Yeah.
Again, I'm a nutritionist, not a neuroscientist here, so I don't want to talk out my bound, but it is something I'm very interested in.
Yeah.
So, yeah, eating different plants is definitely a good thing. So there's a few tips there, Simon, that hopefully keep you looking so young.
And a softening filter and lots of Botox.
Yeah, that's the easier one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
and
great.
By the way, do your editing guys, are they able to do that here? Can they make me look a bit younger and prettier?
We can do anything. Yeah.
So
make sure we do that, guys. For both of us, please. From an entrepreneur's perspective, is there anything that you'd recommend? I'm really interested in. So before we sat down, I had a coffee, but I also have reduced significantly my caffeine intake recently, and I've started taking this product that's got mushrooms in it, the different type of mushrooms. Is there anything that you've found to be useful or you'd recommend for entrepreneurs in terms of focus and creativity and those things? So if you're fasting and you wake up, is it just water? Or do you have green tea? Do you have a mushroom blend? Do you have anything else?
So that's a great question. Caffeine's interesting, right? Because it's great for focus, cognition, but it keeps you awake. Now,
keeps you awake. And I find for me, it depends on, I know Tim Ferriss spoke about this. I know he's not a nutritionist, but researchers spoke about it a lot in terms of how you assimilate caffeine. Some people assimilate it really quickly. So it's in and out, which I find I am really up, but then literally 45 minutes later, I'm right back down again.
I'm a bit like you, but that's subjective. This is subjectivity again.
Yeah,
so
sure.
Let me talk about, so caffeine, the half-life is broadly speaking 5 or 6 hours. And half-life means the time that half of a dose is still left in the blood.
Yeah.
Okay. So I was having last year 4 or 5 coffees, but I wouldn't have it after 12 o'clock because I wanted to sleep.
Yeah.
And a mug of coffee is round about 100 milligrams.
Yeah.
So that's 500 milligrams for lunch, right? But that means if the half-life is 5 or 6 hours, that means the quarter life is 10 to 12 hours.
Yeah.
Do the maths. I hadn't done this till January. Okay. I was still probably having 100 milligrams of caffeine in my blood by bedtime.
Yeah.
I might just as well have been having a cup of coffee before bed.
Yeah.
I hadn't thought of that.
So
Now I was
sleep quality.
I was sleeping quality. People say, well, I can sleep fine off coffee. And they probably are falling asleep. But are they in that grade 4 deep sleep, which is the one that's all important for the people, these sleep experts like Matt Walker are suggesting is that the type of sleep that's going to keep you feeling not only good the next day, but it's going to help cognition and also age-related cognitive decline, prevent age-related cognitive decline.
Yeah.
So I've cut back to having more teas, which is roughly about 40 milligrams, depending how strong you make it.
Okay.
But I think ideally I want to be at the point where I'm not reliant on caffeine. Caffeine is a treat, but I do get the cognitive
And
effect.
you might need it on certain days, right?
Yes.
And then it has a bigger effect, and then you can pull it back out again. Yeah,
Exactly. But you shouldn't be dependent. I think, Michael Pollan, the food and writer, who's also written a couple on drugs. This is Your Mind on Plants. He covers 3. That's his more recent book. He covers 3 sections, and 1 section on caffeine. So a third of the book is caffeine. Yeah, that was brilliant. And he's not a nutritionist, but he's spent most of his career writing about food and agriculture and stuff. So, and I love his objective perspective.
Yeah,
and that's well worth a read. Just the caffeine bit, if you don't read the others, which are also good. But if you just read the caffeine bit, as a nutritionist, it brought me to think about things I already knew, but it hadn't brought to the forefront of my mind, which was not good enough, really.
Yeah, and I feel for me, I know you're saying you've still got it in your system, but I felt really focused so I could get 2-3 hours really great work done, but I'd get hardly anything done in the afternoon because I didn't feel great. Whereas now with a much reduced, so I'll have if I work out on an empty stomach, I'll have a pre-workout. It has about 150 milligrams of caffeine, like a low stim pre-workout.
That's still a reasonable amount of caffeine.
Yeah, but I want to get rid of that eventually and go to no stim, but I'm on that at the moment. And then when I get back, I'll have this mushroom blend, which doesn't have any caffeine in it, but it has the mushrooms, and then nothing else for the rest of the day. So I find I'm still able to work this has been the biggest shift in the last year or two that I've done experimented recently. I'm still able to work at 3 or 4 o'clock in the afternoon on creative tasks that require my thought process, whereas before I'd have to shift just to admin.
For me, it depends on so many factors. Maybe if I did keep more of a tab on what I did, maybe I could identify.
That's why I find this Whoop good. I know it's like over data, but it has a journal on it. So depending on how you're feeling, you can keep the journal, and then you can see the correlations over time.
Yeah, and that's useful. And I know some people really, and it is useful. I probably would have I'm a big fan of data and objectivity, right?
Yeah.
But I don't do it on myself. but that's because I'm all over the shop with where, and I'm very much intuitive. And I we didn't evolve to be, as individuals, we didn't evolve to we didn't walk around with a McCann Willisons or an app on our phone, a calculator working out how many calories are in food. I know I'm going a bit far here, but
it's a good example of whatever works for you. Being intuitive works for you, and you, by the sounds of it, wouldn't enjoy that process. I'm very routine driven, so I like the data and then making adjustments. Do
you keep a training diary when you work out?
Yeah.
Have you always, since you were 18?
I now have an app as well, so it graphs it over time.
See, I tried that when I was younger in my early days. Didn't like it.
Yeah.
Never kept a training diary. I trained different.
And I can't understand people like you. I train with Ryan Terry, big guy in the men's physique world, going for Mr. Olympia again this year. Yeah. And he doesn't keep a diary at all. Doesn't even know what he's going to do when he walks into the gym. He just sort of decides once he gets in there.
I'm the same.
And this guy's like one of the best.
Yeah, and I'm not comparing myself to him at all.
In the world.
But that's the way I do it. And that's partly because I train at different times of the day.
Yeah.
So I knew I was coming here today, so I trained probably 45 minutes later because it's kind of en route.
Yeah.
So I just, and that's a different time. That'd be typical.
And I'd love to be like that. I genuinely would love to be like that, but I just have to recognize that that's not my personality. So having a Whoop, having the data, having the thing, I like to fill in the check-in sheets, eat the carbohydrates to the exact gram, but sometimes you can take that too far. Okay. Yeah. So coming back to the question, is there anything, I mean, I found this mushroom blend super useful. I'm not going to mention the brand because they're not paying me for it. So or maybe I will actually, if on a future one, if I do it for another few weeks actually, and it still is good, what the right thing for me to do is not say they're not paying for me for it and not mention it, is to mention it because it's actually helping me. Is there anything that you'd recommend for cognitive performance from a nutrition standpoint, other than just the core principles that we've spoken about?
Mainly the core principles. If you want cognitive performance, then don't be stressed, sleep well. So use caffeine sensibly was the answer. Omega-3s, right? That's the biggie for me. And your carbohydrates, the type of carbohydrates,
and hydration, I guess, as well. Everyone on TikTok, they're all over these. Have you seen these Stanley bottles that everyone has? So I went to Canada on holiday, and everyone in Canada, well, all of my family anyway, walk around with this Stanley tumbler. It's got a little handle and a straw, but if you put ice in and a drink, it keeps it cold for 11 hours. Right. And it's a litre, 1.2 litres. So if you have 2 of those a day for your average person, you've hit your hydration. And I think the big thing for me in shifting to having a bottle that you walk around with versus having a glass of a drink is, instead of having lots of hydration, then I'll forget to drink for 2 hours. If you're just walking around with a bottle in your hand, you're constantly sipping on it, you're staying hydrated throughout the day.
And most people, like if you live in the UK, it's not that warm most of the time, and probably not in Canada as well, right? It's not so hot. And unless you're exercising like rigorously for long periods of time, you're going to be fine. As long as you drink plenty over the course of a day, right? Yeah, I mean, one thing that a lot of older people find is when they retired, they didn't have the coffee breaks at work, and so they ended up not drinking as much. That's when it's a problem. But I think as long as you're drinking plenty, and thirst isn't always a great indicator of hydration state. We know that. Yeah. So it's great if it works for you, but you don't have to take it to the extreme. You don't have to be too. I know you like to be quite anal about these things, so I'll pick that up in this conversation. But just drink plenty. Always have a drink broadly to hand. And whether that's
the thing. I just found I didn't do that. I drank in the gym, then I'd go into the office and I wouldn't have anything there. Yeah. But of course, again, it comes back down to having plenty, and what works for you.
Exactly. And if you need that reliance, then absolutely, that's a good thing.
It will remind me to drink because I can see it in my eye line, right?
Yes, exactly. I'm generally the sort of person who likes to drink on my desk. I mean, I probably drink. One thing I'm trying to do is not drink so much in the evenings. I'm not waking so much for a wee in the night, so I sleep better.
Yeah,
but it's not working out for me. But it's not working out because I like to have my, I like to have a drink with my meal, and I have a complete protein made with water, albeit a small amount, afterwards.
Yeah.
I mean, Huel is great for getting hydration, right? Because you're mixing it with water.
Yeah.
One other Huel product I haven't mentioned, because we went off topic, of course, just to completely change back to where we were, was the Huel Hot and Savoury.
Okay.
Have you seen these?
I haven't seen these.
So these are either we've got a range of grain-based or pasta-based. So they are nutritionally complete meals that you mix with hot water, either straight out of a kettle or cold water in the microwave.
Yeah.
You stir well, leave for 5 minutes, and eat with a spoon.
Right. Okay. These sound interesting. Yeah.
So
sure. If you keep the thing for me is I prep and cook all my meals, but I'll do it in a card order. I'll cook all my meals, and then I run out and I forget, and then I'll have a half a day where I've got no food. And so if you keep these in stock, they're backups for you, right?
Yeah, I think we've got 10 different varieties now. I think 4 pastas and 6 grains.
And these are just, you go to the website to order these.
Off Huel.com, and order them there, and our other products. We're working on other varieties coming out soon as well, but we've got the 10 there.
Yeah.
And they're great. It's because you don't have to have them for a meal every day. They're there exactly for a backup.
So you're a public company now?
No, we're not a public company. Still private with investment.
Okay.
We were possibly talking about that.
Yeah.
But then obviously the world happened and Putin did what he did and everything went wrong. So we decided that's not for now.
Not for now. Yeah. A good investment for the future, maybe.
Possibly. We don't know what we're going to do yet.
What? We haven't really talked about anything, not negative, but. And I know I'm conscious of time now, so I'm trying to sort of bring things
about
around.
Nutrition communication, weren't we?
Yeah. What do you think are some issues around nutrition at the moment? I mean, one of them is we spoke about you creating content, even though you're not that comfortable going on camera, you want to do it because of what you've got to say. And I believe being a qualified accountant, I've got the qualifications to give business advice, but there are lots of people out there, business coaches, giving business advice who don't even have a good, successful, solid foundational business themselves and 0 qualifications. What do you think are some issues with people taking nutrition advice from TikTok or other forms right now?
So I'm doing some of this online content myself. So this stems from a little moan I was a couple of years ago I was having with my well-respected nutrition peers in the UK.
Yeah.
And I was saying to her, it's really pissing me off, all this bad information that's out there. And she said, James, that's partly on us. We don't do it.
Yeah, because the most educated people, and I've got lots of nutritionists actually as clients, they're very highly educated, but a lot of the time, I guess like your typical accountant as well, not that comfortable to go and create online content.
So
you're writing journals and you do all of this stuff, but that's not accessible to the average person.
I'm exactly. So I'm a better writer than I am a verbal communicator. So if anyone,
I think you're doing all right.
I'm doing all right. So I think I'm okay on podcasts now.
Okay.
It's just if people want to watch my content, I'm still very much work in progress on the short videos of me talking to the camera with no one else in the room. That's what I'm not good enough. But if people want to read some of my writing, I'm a little self-plug here. I'm running a Substack called Thought for Food.
Okay.
Where I've got, I think, 11 or 12 articles so far on different aspects of nutrition. But I get it, Simon. Most people, you say it's not accessible. People don't want to read, and why should they? Yeah. But it is great. If anybody is interested in nutrition, they're not long articles. They're a coffee read or a lunch read. I think one of the longer ones is a 15-minute.
And do you put them on LinkedIn as well?
I link to them on LinkedIn. But if you just go to my Substack.
What's Substack?
So Substack is a platform that's growing in popularity.
Okay.
It's a bit like long form social media.
Showing my
but it's a bit like a blog site for written content. You can put podcasts up there as well, and a lot of highly credible people, experts from across different disciplines are putting stuff up there. It is really the place to be at the moment for long form.
Cool.
Blogging, for instance, notes, etc. So I've got mine there, and I like reading other nutritionists' Substack as well. But I like to read, but I get it. People don't want to read. But the reason, I'm going to come back to answer your question.
Or they need something short. They'll watch that video and say, I really love that, but I actually want to actually understand it, because you can't teach something in a 45-second reel. Then they'll go and look in the description. There's the link to the Substack article. They go and read it.
Yeah, exactly. So, but partly the reason I enjoy writing so much is it makes me formulate my ideas.
Yeah.
I get different ideas in nutrition, and I want to put them on paper, but it's not good enough just to make a few notes. I have to formulate them in a way that could be written in such a way that somebody could enjoy reading it. And that forces me to think about the English and the grammar, and that forces me to be objective. And so if I'm writing down, I don't just put what's in my head. I have to come back to it several times before I publish it.
Yeah.
Now, I'm going to talk about something else now that I probably wasn't going to talk about. I have mentioned it on podcasts before. I've written a book.
Okay.
And I did have a publisher. Yeah. But I'm not going to talk too much. I've had a very bad experience with a publisher. Okay. And I'm pulling out, and the solicitor's dealing with that at the moment for me. I am frustrated, as won't swear on your podcast, but I am incredibly frustrated that I cannot get a publisher, a credible one, to do this. Yeah. I get it. The nutrition space is very competitive. There's a lot of nutrition theory books out there. The book is called Thought for Food, hence the name of the Substack. Yeah. I'm looking for a publisher who wants to take me seriously, because I've got 3 or 4 more other books in my head. I'm writing the second one already on calories and calorie counting. And I'm writing it. I'm going to write it anyway, but my motivation has waned a little. Yeah. Hence the Substack, to keep me motivated. Yeah. But I did want, this book was due to come out late this year or early next year. I'm starting back to. I'm not even at square one. I'm before square one again. Okay. Because I've had this awful experience. Yeah. So if there are any, what I want is an agent. Yeah. A book agent. If there's an agent listening to this, or someone knows an agent, be ever your friend. If you just listen to me, have a call with me. That's all I want.
The reality is, you probably already know someone that would love to jump on that through the connections that you've got. I spoke with someone else on the podcast about what was one of their keys to success, and it was not being afraid to sit down and go, okay, well, this is my objective. Who can I reach out to and put myself out there and say, this is what I'm looking for? Yeah. How can you get me in touch with someone that can help me? And I bet if you did that for 24 hours, you'd probably have an agent and a publisher once you've unraveled yourself. I have, because of what you've done, you're so credible, and what you've created. I mean, even if you pre-launched that book, I think it would be sold out, because people will be so interested in what you've got to say.
I would hope so, but I don't want to be too arrogant here, because I have got some credibility through Huel. Nobody knows my ideas. I've only just started putting my ideas.
You don't have a big platform of your own, but then
I'm building that.
It's the link to Huel, right?
Yeah, and I have. I've only been doing the social media short videos for 4 months. Yeah, and if anyone watches them, I think people find the content quite good. Yeah, but my delivery is still a lot to be improved. Right? Yeah. But the reason I wanted to mention about the writing, it helps me formulate my ideas. So I enjoy the writing. I really enjoy the writing process. And that helps me get my ideas down and formulate them and improve on them, and people disagree with them. I read some of my own earlier stuff and I think, oh, James, I don't know about that, right? Yeah. I've improved, but that's it, isn't it, right? That's part of the process. So
yeah, for sure. I'm
putting content out now on social media because although I'm quite comfortable with this sort of thing, but I feel I've got to do the shorts more, the short videos more, because there's so much misinformation out there. Now, to answer your question, the biggest problem in nutrition is misinformation. Okay. And I am actually writing an article for my Substack, which will be out in a few weeks, called Messiah Syndrome in Nutrition. And it's probably, I'm being a bit of an ultra-crepidarian myself here. I'm going out of my own zone as a nutritionist and talking a bit more about the psychology. But I feel that's important, because part of nutrition is communication, getting people to understand what good information looks like. Yeah. Now, I am absolutely not saying here that people should listen to me, because that I would be doing everything that I am criticizing. But I am hoping that I will help people learn the tools to be able to recognize what bad information is and what good information is.
Not just taking it at face value.
I'm not going to name any of the baddies, but I feel I should name some of the good, highly credible experts. So I think Giles Yeo, who's been on Diary of a CEO, he is an amazing, his 2 nutrition books, one of his is the best nutrition book I've ever read. I would actually say it's one of the best books I've ever read, Gene Eating. And the guy is brilliant. There's a couple of bits I disagree with him on, but I struggle to find anything I disagree with this guy. Okay. There is Lane Norton, who's big in the fitness world.
I love Lane Norton.
So I think he's very credible and some good information.
Bought his videotapes back in the day.
Oh, back in the day. Yeah, he's been around for a while, but he's really grown. You've mentioned Peter Attia as well. I think he's very credible. Definitely in the good camp here, and there's some other online ones. So in my peer world, there's Rhiannon Lambert. I think she's brilliant. She's got really good content worth.
Presumably, the shorts that you put out, you're talking about other people who people can go and listen to.
I've not put them out yet. I've not. I will do stuff on this.
Yeah.
I've been more putting up things about like the neuroscience of
but all of those people that you mentioned are highly qualified individuals.
Yeah.
So presumably, I'm not sure if this is one of the rules that will come out in your article, but look for the qualifications of people before you start listening
is something,
to them.
but it doesn't mean people don't have biases.
No, I don't mean it's necessarily good, but it's a first step. If you eliminate all the people that are trying to give you high value nutrition advice that have zero qualifications, that's probably a good step to take.
It's not. There are some people, and I actually can't think of any to mind at the moment, but who aren't qualified, who have given some really good information. I know a couple of personal trainers, for instance, who haven't got nutrition background.
Yeah,
and I actually think they're really good, and they've got experience, and they're just open-minded. So, whilst it's a good thing, absolutely the first go-to is have they got some credibility and formal qualifications, as in a registered dietitian, registered nutritionist, or whatever the appropriate in the country they come from. I think they are good markers, but they're not the only thing. There are some very credible others, but
so look out for the article.
But look out for
and that will help you.
Yes, and it's what they talk about, the way they talk about it. Actually, it's a good way. I can give 3 or 4 rules now of easy watch outs for what's likely to be credible information. Yeah. So the 3 watch outs are: do they like to demonize or food shame any particular food or food groups? If anybody says, eat this and you will get bigger muscles, or eat this and you'll live to be old, or more likely, eat this and you'll die when you are young, or eat this and you'll get inflammation, they're very likely not credible. Okay. There's nutrition and dietetics are highly nuanced. There's no absolutes. Okay. Which brings me nice to the next one. They will talk in absolutes. Okay. And someone who's very likely to be not very credible will say, this will, or do this. Yeah. And that's very compelling. That's a very good communicator, which perhaps I'm not so good, because I'll say something like this: you should try and maybe cut down on these sort of foods, not have them so often, because it will increase your likelihood of living older, and something non-committal. But that's science, that's nutrition. Yeah. And the ones I've mentioned actually do that. Lane Norton does it brilliantly. Yeah. He'll be non-committal, but he won't talk, not talking absolutes, but still be a good communicator. So I think that's, so that's, and the other one is another watch out is they will use the word truth or fact a lot. Yeah. Like some people like to list things out and go fact at the end of the sentence. Yeah. And just because you're saying it's fact doesn't make it so. Yeah. And the clickbait is interesting. So I'll say the truth about such and such, or the real truth, like the truth's not enough. You need the real truth because it's not the truth. I don't understand that. But they'll use them. And I kind of get that because it's clickbaity. So unfortunately, I might be using some of these clickbaity things. I won't quite kind of use the word the truth, but I think you have to.
You want people to watch your content, right?
You have to.
And if you know it's good content.
And I know, and it's unfortunate we live in a world where we have to have that, but it's the rule I will bend. Yeah. Because we need it to pull people in. Yeah. People like it. And I'll read it, right? And I'll go, actually, they weren't saying that was in there, but I'm glad I listened to this because I've learned some really good stuff. They're 3 good rules. So there's talks in absolutes, demonizes particular food or food shames, and uses the word truth or fact a lot. There are other watch outs as well. But if you spot them and anyone's doing those, they're very likely not very credible. And I would switch over to someone else.
It's so useful for people.
Yeah.
Thank you, because it can be applied to any industry as well. It's not just nutritionists. Yes. And online content is out there. I've never heard anyone speak about 3 ways to see if that content is likely to be credible. So that's really, really good information for people who are obviously consuming content because they're either watching or listening to the podcast. Yes. Or watching one of the short videos that we create from the podcast. Yeah. I normally sort of end up with, what are your 3 keys to success? I want to preempt it and see if you agree with me based on me and my understanding of you.
Before we do that, can you define success for me, please?
To me, success is coming back to getting to a point in your life where you're happy, you are, or you feel like you're fulfilling your potential, you're doing good in the world, you're having an impact on people. To me, that's success for me, and it's all relative. So that's the biggest thing. We always talk about at Grow Factor helping our clients achieve success on their terms.
And that's great. And I would agree with you. That's what success should look like. I don't know whether I've got all that.
So I think that you are doing good in the world because you've been instrumentally involved in the creation of products which help people make better choices. You're putting content out in the world to educate people to be healthier around nutrition, even just some of the stuff we've talked about today. So the doing good in the world, I'm not sure whether you'd feel like you've optimized that, but you're definitely doing good in the world and you're having an impact.
I will say I'm trying to do that. I don't, like you said, with my 5 followers on Instagram, it's actually a bit more than that, but it's not that great. It's I don't know. Yeah, that's my intention. Let me go there. That's my intention.
I think you have a lot of humility, but you've got to allow me to give you my perspective on you. And my perspective on you, having met you and having researched you, is you are very successful and people will consider you very successful who are in your field, who look at what you've achieved, what you've done, and what you speak about and how you write about topics.
So it's interesting you mentioned the word humility there, because I live by 4 values and that's one of them. So I try to be...
you're definitely hitting that one, for sure.
I try to. The other 3 just is honesty, rigor, and compassion. So I try and live by those 4 rules. And I fail on all of them every day.
So we talked about complexity. What would be 2 other, if you've got them, from your perspective, keys to your relative success?
Yeah, whatever success means. The success is being surrounded by good people.
Yeah.
Right. And which is arguably have some control over, but limited control. Back to the free will thing again, right? I'm very fortunate to have a brilliant wife who's very supportive. We get on so well.
Yeah.
Which is brilliant. We've got quite different, but also very similar in many ways. So whilst I'm sure I would be successful, I don't like that word, in some format.
I can feel that from you. I should have rephrased it.
But you get asked it right. It's a fair question. I feel in some format without Mel, it certainly made it a lot easier and a lot more enjoyable.
And you found each other when you were really at that age where you really understood what you wanted from a partner and who you were as an individual as well. So much more chance of it actually being a great connection and you supporting each other. As opposed to it is different. I'm not saying more difficult or easier. If you meet someone early 20s and then you grow together, you can end up being different people.
How old were you when you met your wife?
25, 26.
She was quite young.
Yeah, so I think we're different now, and you learn to grow with each other and you learn your own issues, not problems, but your own unique, special things that make you your own, mental health challenges that you go through, and you have to sort of grow together. Yeah, it's just you get there, but it's a different process.
It is, but I've got a string of long-term relationships that are broken before I was with Mel, so I had good practice, so to speak. So
having a supportive partner, it makes a massive difference, right? That's because I'd imagine that when you got the opportunity to work, on and in and with Huel as a co-founder, you were all in, and working really, really hard and head down on that as a project because it's so exciting, right?
It was, and we were together before Huel was a thing, so she's actually been integral to the role of my success within Huel. But it's not just, I mentioned about as good networks, not just my wife, obviously a key person, but arguably the most important person. It's my wider circle of friends. I'm very fortunate to have a great circle of friends. I'm not making it how popular I am now, guys, but I'm very fortunate to have some really good friends.
Yeah.
And also my colleagues at Huel. So we employ really well, but I get on with them. We have a laugh. Probably, a lot of banter with some of the people.
Yeah.
And they're also really good at their job.
And are you involved in the recruitment of the nutritionists?
Oh, the nutritionists, yeah. And any in the immediate, absolutely.
Yeah, and that's culture fit plus qualification and what they bring to the company, right?
But we also have internal recruiters at Huel, so they know our culture, so we don't use what's going. So we have 2 or 3 people that will recruit across the company because they know the culture, they know what we're looking for, and then they'll get rid of some of the earlier CVs, and then we'll have a look at a few and then go from there. Okay. So, the first is identifying complexity and reviewing the world's not black and white. The second is having a good network of people, including your spouse, partner, and friends and colleagues. Yeah. The third, I'm going to say, is one of the other values, the rigor. And when I spoke to people having values before, and I've been told that nobody's ever come up with rigor as a value before.
Is rigor like grit?
So no, grit's an interesting word. It's a word I'm not fully aligned with, but rigor is hard work, but it's more than that. But having intellectual rigor, so to speak, is coming to cross-check yourself, being mindful that what you're saying is putting the effort in to be mindful of yourself. Yeah. So yes, it's being hard work. We can all work hard, and that's part of it. But can we all cross-check ourselves? This is where some of the misinformation on the pseudo-influencers on the internet go in. I'm sure some of them are hard-working people. Yeah. But no doubt on that. And some of them work in the gym and training, got excellent physiques, and they put a lot of effort into learning. Yeah. I'm not so sure about that, but they'll learn, but they won't look at other perspectives. And that's where rigor comes in. Being more mindful, being more open-minded, and cross-check, being happy to cross-check yourself. Yeah. That's the humility ties in with it as well. Being open to be wrong. Look, living your life through the scientific method. Yeah. Which people don't. And there's a big dismissal. There's a lot of, especially since COVID, there's a lot of negativity about science at the moment, and people dismissing science. What's the alternative? Belief. And that's an interesting word in itself, belief, because belief can be being a Bayesian and reassessing based on the most recent data, or just blind faith. There's faith is a useful word to some degree, but there's blind faith. So if you don't value science, you're valuing just ideology. You're ideological by definition. And that's where it becomes a problem. So I actually think people, while they want to dismiss science, I'm actually not so pessimistic about that. I don't think they really do. It's just cool to dismiss science.
And I think if you applied the principles that you went through before, actually, and we could talk about this all day long around COVID and science and facts presented, but if you look at how those facts are presented, what the rationale or motivation of the people who are presenting the facts behind it, then you can say, well, the science is sound, but actually, potentially, anything can be presented in a certain way to get the result that person necessarily wants. Exactly. We don't have to go right into that. It is what it is, right? Yeah. But you have to think about the facts that are being presented to you, whether it's online content or from a government advisor on a live broadcast on all channels based on a nationwide shutdown, and ask, can I apply my principles to this in terms of how much can I trust this information?
Absolutely. And this is where I get the mistrust of science. I get where it's come from, because I think governments, not just the UK government, did a bloody shoddy job during COVID. Yeah. Whereas the science was there, and some of it was just they didn't know and made some wrong decisions. Right? I'm not here to talk about that, and that's fine, because being Bayesians at the time, it probably felt like the right thing. The hindsight bias is a wonderful thing, right? But I still think there was some very disingenuous stuff. So I get people's mistrust of science, but the science is there to be trusted. Maybe all the scientists aren't. Yeah. But then you don't listen to any one. This is where it comes to listening to many and different perspectives. So a lot of the conspiracists will say, don't listen to them. They're trying to do this, that, and the other. But then they'll listen. They're still choosing who to listen to. Yeah. And that's kind of contradictory.
But I think that's probably, I don't know whether this is true, and you might not have asked Julian this, but probably one of the reasons why he chose you is that you have this viewpoint and you have those 3 keys, you will not just come up with a formulation and say, that's it, because I created it, it's the best. You will have gone and looked out there at other people's opinions, looked and constantly questioned your own judgment, and been open to other people questioning or arguing with the product. So people get to the point where they really do trust the product, the formulation is not just been created to make money from a marketing perspective. It's been created because there's a gap in the market from a health perspective, because they see the credibility in you. That has to have had an impact on the decision to co-found the business with you.
I think I've got better at being that mindset in the last 4 to 5 years, that recently. To some degree, it was probably there in the early days.
Yeah.
But I think that's something I've worked on, because I've been involved with Huel. I've kind of, let me finish up on saying this sort of thing. I think people trust Huel.
Yeah.
I take that seriously, and some people at work might laugh now because I'm going to use this quote. I like the Spider-Man quote. With great power comes great responsibility. People trust Huel, and most 99.8% of people that have Huel just drink it and don't think about it because they know this is Huel. These guys have got me.
Yeah.
Right. Well, that's kind of, I'm in charge of nutrition. It's a nutrition product. So kind of that's on me personally. I take this very seriously. I have to deliver what the data and what I believe based on that data to be the best objectively healthy and where I can most sustainable product based on what I know. If I don't do that, I'm letting everyone down. Of course, there's the other, say 0.2%, and I'm just inventing those numbers out of thin air. Those other people that do criticise and give feedback, some of them positively, some of them negatively. And that's brilliant because they help me support the other 99.8% of figure I've just invented. But
well, it wouldn't be a podcast if we didn't have some statistics that we just invent.
We pluck it out of thin air. I'm just talking about how I value objectivity and rigor, and I've just completely invented those statistics.
I say 96% of businesses fail within a 10-year period, which was a study that was done 2 or 3 years ago. Actually, probably worse than that now.
Mm-hmm. Okay, yeah.
But, gut feel is usually right. Okay, look, we could talk all day on this. Thank you so much for coming in. There's so much in there. For me, on a personal level, super, super interesting. I love the product and I love what you've done. I think people should definitely check you out online. Where can people find you? So
people find on Huel.com for Huel products, and there's a lot of great articles there that either me or more of my colleagues have written there as well. So even if you don't want to buy any products, just go on Huel.com, look at our guides and articles and read about nutrition. Yeah. If you want about me, then I've got my Substack, which is Thought for Food. It's James Collier, RNUTR.
Okay. I'll put the links in the description.
And they're also my Instagram and on LinkedIn and as well.
Perfect. Is there anything that you wanted to talk about that we haven't spoken about today? I know we've, for those of you who might not know, have run out 2 memory cards, switched to the backup camera, because it's one of those where, when you're talking to someone, it's so interesting. You could literally, we spoke about, okay, let's try and make the podcast 60 minutes. Mm-hmm. Then it's gone to 90 minutes. Then it's gone to 2 hours. Yeah. You could probably talk for 4 or 5 hours about this stuff. And for me, it's a real opportunity to have you in here and grill you. Less about, like you said, being an entrepreneur, because that's not the focus of it. You've not had a business, started the business, and it's the business challenges, but you've achieved, I can say success, in your field and been part of one of the fastest growing, and still are part of founding one of the fastest growing companies in the UK. Which is really, really interesting, and why I'd have 50 plus, 500 plus other questions that I could go through. But we have to stop at a certain point.
We have to stop, right? And that's great.
But is there anything else that we didn't talk about that you really wanted to say, or are you okay?
I think we've said everything. It's been really interesting talking to you as well, Sam. Thank you for some really interesting questions and conversation.
Awesome.
And that's credit to you too.
Thank you. Thanks, guys. That's been another episode of Founder Stories. I think you'll agree. Today was a really special one and a bit different to what we normally do in grilling the entrepreneurial founder. Today, we've got someone in that's helped us. I think we've got so many lessons as entrepreneurs for how we can have a healthier lifestyle, increase our health span, increase our lifespan. But from a perspective of running our own business as well, just how we think about things, how we approach it, the values that James has and how that's made him, I know he doesn't want me to use this word anymore, but how that's made him successful in what he does. That's it from me, and we'll see you in the next episode.